Okay, so finally my Cannondale CaadX from 2018 is back on the road again. It was a 2x setup, it was a 105, and I wanted to try it as a 1x just to see if it could be. I know the geometry is not gravel geometry, this is a cyclocross bike, but I like that aggressive kind of geometry as well. Even though I'm an older man, I quite like that. And I love the aesthetics of this bike, I really do. I have a Giant Revolt, as you know from the channel, but this has already become the replacement of that bike, even though it's older and it's running some older tech, you know, for example, quick release axles from 2018. It's not through axle. And I must say I've had no problems with disc rub. I did in the beginning when I first bought it with the wheels that Cannondale spec'd on this bike. They were not stiff at all, but here I have Spinergy GX32s, as you can see here, and they are, I've only ridden them maybe 250 kilometers, but they are you know, stiff enough so that I don't get any disc brake rub anymore. And I'm enjoying that, and I'm enjoying the fact that now with 1x I got 45mm tires on there, and the comfort is just phenomenal. I'm not going to stand here and say it's down to the wheels, you know. Spinergy might say that, and I can't really, you know, cast any doubts on that. I'm sure there is something to it. The 45mm tires and these wheels maybe combined are really helping with the comfort. And I'm running the tires about 28, 29 on the back. It's not completely accurate, but it's around that. And on the front 25 psi. And I find that that is really comfortable, you know, especially for bumpy gravel and things like that. Obviously on the road it's a little bit soft when I go onto the road, but I'm trying to keep this on more rougher terrains, this bike. So yeah, it's so good to see something resurrected, you know, that you've had, you know, you've had enjoyment of it in the past, and then because of things that happened, I had to strip it and I sold parts off to try and fix another bike. Anyway, that's a long story. But because of that, it was lying dormant for a long time. But now, yeah, I feel so good bringing it back. So let me just show you around this beast. I feel like it's a beast anyway. And I've kind of touched on it. The highlights of this bike now, I feel anyway, are the wheels. Not just about comfort. I just think that if you ever buy Spinergy wheels, and this is not me trying to sell them to people or being sponsored by anybody, if you buy them you can see the quality of them. You know, the free hub, when I was looking at the back wheel before I put the cassette on, it's like it's machined so well. I've never seen anything like it. It's amazing. And the hubs are so chunky, these 44 hubs. They're amazing. I can't even imagine them ever breaking or any problem with them. And so yeah, they are the highlight of the bike. I'm running what is it, the Maxxis Rambler, sorry, yeah, the Maxxis Rambler there in a 45C. These came off my Giant Revolt, which I had, and I found them quite slow. I still don't think they're that fast. I know some gravel riders race on them, but particularly for me, I don't find them fast. But they're okay, and it's saved on the budget, obviously. I'm running CaadX now as opposed to 105, and remember it's 1x. So this is the CaadX 600, the old 11 speed. I bought it because it was, you know, on offer at the time and a lot cheaper than the new 12 speed one, so I bought that. So yeah, I was running that, and on this Cannondale I had a CaadX crank as well, because I had a Praxis bottom bracket in there to run 105 cranks before, but it just wouldn't work with one bike. I had to take it out. So unfortunately for me, I had to buy a Cannondale crank again. I had to go back to BB30, which I'm not really a fan of, but I did all the work myself and I feel it's pretty good. There's no creaks, there's no clicks or anything like that. So I'm not a mechanic. I'm not trying to say that I'm a mechanic, but I found that so far for these first 250 or so kilometers on this new bike, or old new, I've had no problems with it. And I got a CaadX 810 on the back, and so let me just tell you, on the front I got a 40 tooth, and on the back I got an 11 to 34. And I know that gearing is not good for hills, but I'm not really using this for hills. I've got my giant Revolt, as I said, which has a 40 tooth on the front, and then a 10 to 44 on the back. And so if I want to do anything more adventurous and hilly, you know, I'm just going to take that bike. But at the moment, every time I look at the two bikes, you know, the giant and this is the one I reach for all the time. Always look to this. So yeah, CaadX 600, apart from the crank obviously. I got Data, I think it is yeah, the 100 gravel bars. They are the actual gravel bars. Data 0100 I think they're called. And so yeah, I got those. They're very, very light, and they're in a 40. I don't really like wide bars too much, even on gravel. And I don't like really flared bars either, so I think they're in keeping with this bike. And then I bought a Data stem to go with it. But this was just the Data 0 stem. And the reason was I didn't care, you know, I didn't build this bike with weight in mind. I wasn't thinking about weight. But here you can see there's a very thin slit here on the lighter stems. They're really open, you know, they show the actual steerer, and the steerer is silver on this. It's a carbon fork, but the steerer is metal, aluminium I guess, and it's silver, so I really didn't like the look of that, so I didn't mind going for a cheaper, heavier stem. That's what I'm trying to say. And so that's the view from the top, you know, from the hoods. So I tried to think about every bit of kit that I put on this bike and what I wanted. And even some people were saying, why don't you just buy a new bike? But I'm not that kind of person. If I've got an old frame or something, I don't want to just, you know, throw it away, dump it or anything. I want to rebuild it. And I love this bike from the first day I rode it, even with the basic parts on it. So there was no way that this was ever going to go in the bin or be given away or anything. So yeah, like I say, the Revolt is a little bit lonely these days, I think. It's not seeing much use. And I gotta say, the whole argument about aluminium, and this is just my view, obviously there's a carbon fork on here, but this argument about aluminium being harsh, this bike I don't find harsh. I've also got a Cat 12, I don't actually find that harsh either. I think they're talking from years ago maybe, but I've not experienced it. You know, this frame with these wheels and the tires, like I've been saying, there is a slight difference, I guess, you know, because the Revolt is running 45mm tires at the same pressure with a carbon frame. It's a little bit of difference, but it's nothing much. I sometimes get, hurt wrists even on the Revolt sometimes if I have a big hit. And so I think it's negligible, the difference, and people go on about it, but I can't see it. I'm an older rider and maybe I should feel it more, but I don't. Anyway, like I say, this bike has been coming out with me more and more. The CaadX is at home as well. So let me show you the saddle. The saddle is Repente Quasar. I think I showed this on my road bike on my CaadX before. I do like this saddle, and I found it good for gravel as well. It's very light. I got the original C3 seat post aluminium. I'm sure I could get more comfort if I got a carbon post, but I actually found that I ran out of money, and you know, like, I didn't run out of money, but everything was getting out of hand, and I didn't want to spend any more, because, you know, a carbon post, you're looking at another £100, you know, whatever that is, $150, I don't know. So I've left that for now, and I still find this bike comfortable even with an aluminium seat post. So maybe there is something with these wheels. And the reason I chose these wheels was because of the 19mm diameter, you know, internal diameter, the 19mm internal width. Because, sorry if I'm going all weird with the video, because I'm getting carried away. Yeah, the 19mm internal width is why I bought them, and I know that's old in today's standards, but I knew that I wanted to try and run a 45, and if I had something that was a 24mm, you know, internal width or more, I might have problems with the tires rubbing on the frame. So that's why I chose this. And I think there's minimal kind of light bulb effect here. I can't see any difference to my actual Giant Revolt, you know, with 45s on a 24mm internal width, you know, the shape of the tire, I mean, I can't see any difference in that on the two bikes, even though one has a larger internal width. So for me, that was the reason why I chose an older style, I guess, internal width. And so yeah, overall, this bike is cool. It's really cool, and I can see me, you know, having many a great ride on this bike now. I do find 1x a little bit limiting, if I'm honest. I'm not trying to spark a debate on that either. I still find 2x for me is better. I like the closer ratios. I don't like the big jumps. On this, there's not so many big jumps, but you got smaller jumps, but you run out of gears very quickly. So that's another downside of it. I want to try and give you a better shot of the bike, if I can. And hopefully it's quite peaceful here. There was a load of frogs making a noise earlier. This is the frog season in Korea. So yeah, yeah. What else can I tell you? Right, yeah. Everything is new. So basically, if I sum it up, everything is new except for the frame, the fork, obviously, and the seat post, and the actual rotors. Those were some old rotors from before, when I had this bike before, when I was running it. Those are Shimano Ice Tech, I think. So those are old, and those might need replacing before long, I think. But everything else is new. Oh, and the pedals. These are the Shimano XT pedals down here. I'm saying about the things, and then I got the camera elsewhere. Yeah, so Shimano XT, is it the 8100? They were the newer ones anyway. And I'm liking those. I'm still a fan though of road bike pedals. I know it sounds weird, but I find the platform is bigger, easier to clip in. Everything is just nicer. Obviously, if you're in muddy conditions, then it's going to be hard with road bike pedals. Yeah, that's everything, I think. Oh yeah, one quirk of bikes from around that period of 2018, and I think particularly with Cannondale, was On the front, you can probably see if I zoom in here. On the front, you've got post mount, and then on the back, you got flat mount, which is really annoying because I wanted to run the GRX, you know, on the front and the back, the GRX calipers, but I couldn't, so I had to buy a mountain bike like caliper for the front. I wish GRX would do that and think about, you know, or Shimano would do that, thinking about people who got older bikes, but there we are. It is what it is. Yeah, and if I can just show you the skewers from this side. I'm sure you can see that, can you? I'm sure, why am I asking you? You can't answer. Yeah, I'm sure you can see it. I can see it in the screen anyway. So those are DT Swiss skewers, and those help stiffen up, you know, the wheels and everything, and help keep the rotors like central in the caliper. Definitely those help because you can really tighten those up really nicely, a bit like you would with a through axle, you know, turning it. That's how they work. And so yeah, great, love it. So overall, it is a beautiful bike, and I love. I know there's not many things about Cannondale BBs that I like, but I do love their cranks. I think the cranks look great. You know, the crank that I had on my CAD 12 I loved as well, and they are really light as well. And the bar tape, I didn't talk about this, did I? I love this bar tape as well. Kinesis, I think it is a British brand. I got it from Merlin Cycles, and is it? I'm trying to think of the person who designed it. I think it is a guy called Joe Burt or something like that. It's a Kinesis tape anyway. They got two different types. I got the darker grey one on my road bike, and I got this for this bike. Yeah, and I like that. I think overall it really sets the bike off, I think, anyway. A little bit dirty there around the headset. So yeah, all of the bearings here I replaced, yeah, top and bottom I've replaced, and actually in the inside the BB bearings are NTN. I bought those from the UK and got them sent. As I tend to do, I'm waffling. Yeah, maybe it would be good if I gave you a free hub sound test before I go. Somebody might complain, what, you didn't do a free hub sound test after all of that? I do like the free hub sound on these wheels, if I'm honest. They are good, they're nice. So let me do that for you. Anyway guys, thanks for watching this video. Please give it a like if you got any kind of enjoyment from it or learned anything from it. I do appreciate all the views and the comments, and I'll speak to you again. Thanks.